Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let us start. So, we will discuss about numerical solution of linear algebraic equations today. Okay. So, in all the previous classes, what you have seen is, let me just keep the chat open in case somebody. So, in all the previous classes, we had seen different methods of discretization, mainly finite difference and finite volume. And is the appropriate size? This looks too big to me. Just a second. Okay, we'll keep this also open in case it is needed. And so initially finite difference and then finite volume method, and in all cases, whether it is say finite volume implicit method, semi-implicit method, or means apart from explicit method, also in explicit method also we get equations like this, but in explicit method we can directly solve because all the equations, for example, all the coefficients on the right hand side and all the variables are known. So we don't need any special method for solving the equations. But for any other method, we get a system of equations, system of algebraic equations. Okay, system of algebraic equations where, as discussed in the previous class, we have it should be there in the previous class discussion. Not exactly, I cannot find it, but no, we had just discussed about one example. So where you can take all this variable and their coefficients to the left hand side, so that you can form a matrix of this form. Okay. I have not written it again, but by this time you should be very familiar because we have discussed so many times. We will form a matrix like this, where all the coefficients will be there in a coefficient matrix, all the unknown variables will be there in an unknown vector, and this is all the source terms that were present, the B terms from our CFD, this finite volume discretization. All the B terms are there on the right hand side, and all the coefficients are there in this coefficient matrix, and all the unknown variables are there in this. And we have discussed in the previous class that for n equations, either we will have n minus 2 unknowns depending on the boundary conditions, or n minus 1 or n unknowns. It depends on the boundary conditions. So in the boundary conditions, directly the temperature values or the variable values are given, you will have n minus 2 equations because the 2 points at the boundary do not need any equation. If the boundary conditions are given in terms of some function like heat flux is given, k dt dx given, or k dt dx is equal to 0, or it is given as a convective heat transfer term, then the boundary temperature values are also unknown, and we will have corresponding equations for those also, and we will have n equations for n unknowns and n equations. Okay, and then we need to solve this equations and unknowns. Means basically we need to solve these equations to get this value of the unknowns. So directly we can write this as A into T is equal to K, and whereas by matrix inversion we can write T is equal to A inverse of K. Okay, so we will see actually some proper methods of doing this calculation instead of directly inverting the matrix. What are the direct type of solution algorithm and what are iterative solution algorithms. So these two we are going to study starting from today. And this is applicable for any of the problems where you get this type of set of equations. Is my screen visible to all of you? Can
Yes,
somebody
sir.
confirm? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So remember that there may be some lag. So when I am pointing my mouse to some place, like say for example, I am pointing my mouse to direct method, it will take some time to get to you. So by that time my mouse may be at some other point. So you have to bear that in mind. Okay. So there are two types of solution methods for this algebraic equations. So you have a set of algebraic equations, right? In say n equations are there, n equations and n unknowns. Why we are calling this algebraic equations? Because there are no differential terms now. So all of them are like simple algebraic coefficients. Okay, no differential terms. So it is not a differential equation. So either we can solve them directly, like what I was saying, a into a into t is equal to b, or t is equal to a inverse of b. So there are some direct methods for doing this. One is known as tridiagonal matrix algorithm. Then a very standard method is there, which is Gaussian elimination. Gaussian elimination we are not going to study. It is very slow method, but it's a very common method in maths. You must have studied, or you can just take a look in any some of the uh, any of the maths book. Okay, the standard method. So where you just basically eliminate one by one in each of the rows the number of coefficients, so that ultimately you get a triangular type of matrix, and then from back calculation you can just calculate the values. Okay, it's a slow method. So the other method which actually we use very frequently in CFD is known as tridiagonal matrix algorithm. This is used for mostly 1D. This is used for only 1D problems, because in 2D and 3D this cannot be used, and we will come to that. Okay. Then there are some iterative methods which are used for 2D or 3D type of problems. So we will see, although a lot of methods are there, we will see Jacobi method, Gauss-Seidel method, and then a modification of the TDMA method, which is known as line by line TDMA. So this TDMA method becomes iterative in line by line TDMA and can tackle 2D or 3D problems. Okay. So these are the type of methods that we are going to see. And any of these methods, so these direct methods can also be used for 2D and 3D, not TDMA, but Gaussian elimination or matrix inversion. But the problem is that the time taken will be so large that it will be not very useful. Okay, we will discuss about that. So let us take a look at this tridiagonal matrix algorithm first. Then we will go to this indirect methods. So for this TDMA, a tridiagonal matrix algorithm, which is also known as Thomas algorithm. Okay, as I mentioned, it is suitable for 1D problem. I will say why this is the case. Many of you already know. So once we have the equation, discretized equation of this form, APTP is equal to AET plus AWTW, means this is for 2D. For 1D, you will have only AET and AWTW and B. Okay, where was the 1D equation? Somewhere we will have the 1D equation also, right? It's not there in this page, but let me just keep this only open. So this ANTN and ASTS terms are not there in 1D. Okay. So what you have in discretized form, so if P is the ith grid point, if it is a 1D problem, and P is the ith grid point, let me open the 1D case, then it is more suitable. 11. Please ask me questions if you don't understand something. Okay, don't hesitate. Because you will need this to implement. Let us keep the 1D problem open. Okay, so the diagram is there for the 1D. Oh, 1D problem diagram is not there. Anyway, this is the set of equations, and say you have a 1D grid, means 1D domain like a line, and you have divided into n number of control volumes. Okay, and n number of grid points are there. So for the ith grid point or control volume, we can write the equation as APTP is equal to AET plus AWTW plus B. Okay. So for the ith control volume, P is equal to I, means the control volume that we are considering. So we can write, instead of APTP, we can write AITI, and the east side neighbor we can write as I plus 1. Okay. And the west side neighbor, which is the previous grid point, we can write as I minus 1. Okay. And the corresponding source term B we can write as di. Okay, so if we assume that this is the domain.
So 1D grid is present in 13 on the first page.
It is there in 13.
Yes, sir, in 13.
Okay, good. Thank you. This is better. So say I is, in this case, it is varying from 1 to 7. Okay, I is varying from 1 to 7, and so let us consider another of this case where the unknown, this boundary conditions also are unknown, means boundary temperatures are unknown. This case, for example, where this point is also, say, some flux condition is given. So 1 to 7, I is varying from 1 to 7, and for any I can write the equation as somewhat like this, this form. Okay, I want to show both of them together. Yes. So say, for example, this third grid point A3T3 is equal to A4T4 plus A2T2 plus B3. Okay. So actually this will not be A4T4 and A2T2. What will happen is that this coefficients AE, this is still corresponding to this grid point. Okay. So if you think that AE should be A4T4, actually that is not the case. This coefficient is still for the, so when you are doing the calculation for this, say, third control volume, all the coefficients are corresponding to the third control volume also. So the coefficient for temperature 4, while calculating the third control volume, we need to write. So actually I will write this not as A3T, means I will write this as A3T3 is equal to so how will I write, means say this will not be A3, let us write this as something like B3. Okay, B3 T4 plus C3 T2 on the west side plus something like D3. Okay, so all the coefficients are different, but all the coefficients are for the third grid point. Okay, so all the coefficients have subscript which is 3. So let us call this coefficient as A, this as B, this as C. So A3 T3 is equal to B3 T2, sorry, B3 T4 plus C3 T2 plus D3. Something like that we can do. Okay. So if we come back to our equation here, this is what we have done. Okay, AITI is equal to BITI plus 1. So where BI is the coefficient AE, when you are calculating for the ith grid point, but this is the coefficient for the next temperature value, next grid point temperature value, Ti plus 1. Similarly, Ci is the coefficient when you are calculating for the ith grid point, but this temperature is the previous temperature value, previous grid point temperature, I minus 1, and Di is the source term B corresponding to this grid point. All these terms can vary if the thermal conductivity or the source term varies, means with space. Okay. So say at different location the source term is different, like we have seen in the previous class. One bullet is projectile is hitting an armor plate and there is source term at the center, but there is no source at the surrounding. So accordingly the source term may have some value or it may become zero also in some cases. For boundary conditions, this source term will have different form, like we have seen in the treatment of the boundary condition. So this is the general form of the discretized equation. Okay, where I varies from 1 to n for n equations. Again, let me repeat. So the discretized form of the equation for ith grid point is aiti is equal to biti plus 1 plus citi minus 1 plus di, which is of the same form as this one, where I varies from 1 to n. So for I is equal to 1, obviously I is equal to 1 is the boundary. So it is there in 13, right? You have said. So I is equal to 1. There is no waste point. Okay, so I cannot have I minus 1 point for I is equal to 1. So this C1 has to be 0. For I is equal to 1, C1 has to be 0 because there is no Ti minus 1 point. Okay. Similarly, for I is equal to n, for the last grid point, there is no I plus 1 point. So for I is equal to n, this Bn has to be equal to 0 because there is no Ti plus 1 point. Okay. So these two conditions are also there. For I equal to 1, C1 equal to 0. And for I equal to n, Bn equal to 0. Okay. The equations are somewhat of this form. But even for this grid point. Okay. So if this is the set of discretized equation, now the question is how to solve this for I is equal to 1 to n. So n equations are there, n unknowns are there. We can write them in matrix form, but then how to solve it efficiently? If you do matrix inversion using Gaussian elimination, it will take. Does anyone know how much time it takes, like in terms of number of iteration? How many? What is the order of calculation? N cube. So n equations are there. It will take n cube amount of steps. Means not exactly n cube. It is order of n cube. Means some function of n cube. So for example, if we have 100 equations, if the domain is divided into 100 points, then it will take some function of 100 cube. Okay, amount of time, amount of steps, calculation steps. So if you increase the number of grid points from 100 to 1000, your calculation time will increase as cube of that. So because you have increased the number of grid points by 10 times, your calculation will increase by 1000 times. So if it was previously taking 1 hour to solve using Gaussian elimination, now it will take 1000 hours to solve. So you can imagine that it is not scalable to large number of grid points. It becomes very difficult. So 1 hour is feasible, but 1000 hours is huge amount, more than 1 month. So it is not feasible. Okay, just by increasing the grid points 10 times, I would anticipate, or I would try to make the time increase by 10 times, or maybe say 50 times or 100 times, but 1000 times is huge amount. So there is where this TDMA comes into picture. So we will see that TDMA actually is very efficient. It has only number of calculations of the order of n. So it points by 10 times, it will just take 10 hours to solve. Okay, and this is very much required in CFD problem because you have to do grid refinement in many cases to capture fine details. So say you have to refine the grid by 2 times or 4 times. So even if you refine the grid by 2 times, for TDMA the calculation time only increases by 2 times, whereas for Gaussian elimination calculation time will increase by 8 times. Okay, so that's why it becomes important. So let us look at this process. So say Ti can be written. So again, for the old students, these are very familiar to you. It's just like a revision because the syllabus itself is like a revised syllabus, same syllabus for you guys. So it is just for revising your material. So say I can write this Ti or in this form, some coefficient Pi into Ti plus 1 plus some value Qi. Okay. We do not know what is Pi and Qi, but say it is possible to write in this form. So what is unique about this form? What we are doing, if we write in this form, we don't have the I minus 1 term. Somehow from these equations, by elimination, say it is possible to bring the equations to this form where the I minus 1 terms are not present. Only the I plus 1 terms are present for the ith temperature value. Why do we want to write in this form? Because we will see that by writing in this form, the calculation becomes very easy. Just line by line, we can proceed, means step by step. So if we can write this for the I minus 1 grid point, say for the I minus 1 grid point, this is Ti minus 1 equal to Pi minus 1, the coefficient. For I minus grid point, the next grid point is Ti, okay, plus Qi minus 1. And somehow say we have obtained these equations, means we already know the values of Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. After some calculation, we do not know how do we have obtained, but say after some calculation, we have obtained this. Now our task is to find out Pi and Qi for the next equation if we know Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. Okay. So if you consider this general equation that we have derived for this discretized form, I will replace this I minus 1 term here, okay, by this known equation. We will replace. So we will again repeat this so that the understanding is clear, but let me first go through this steps. So this I minus 1 term here, because it is a known equation, I am going to replace by this equation. Okay. So Ti minus 1 is equal to Pi minus 1 Ti plus Qi minus 1. Okay. So let us replace it here. So instead of Ti minus 1, I write so Ci into within bracket Pi minus 1 Ti plus Qi minus 1. Somehow we have found the values of Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. We don't know how we have found, but we at this point we know that we know the value of Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. Okay. So when you write like this, so this is the form of the equation. So this Ti terms, let us put them together. Okay. So already we have a Ai-Ti term here, this term, and another term comes from here, this Ci-Pi minus 1. Okay. So it comes to the left hand side. So it becomes Ai minus Ci-Pi minus 1 into Ti. So this is the term on the left hand side. On the right hand side, we already have a Bi-Ti plus 1 term. So this Bi-Ti plus 1 term is there. And rest of the terms let us put together. So rest of the terms where there is no temperature variable. One term is this Ci-Qi minus 1 and the other term is Di. Okay, let us put them together. So if we now compare this equation, okay, if we now compare this equation that just now we have written with this form of the equation, Ti is equal to Pi Ti plus 1 plus Qi, we can say that the coefficient Pi, what is the coefficient Pi? Capital Pi, this is equal to Bi Ti plus 1 divided by Ai minus Ci Pi minus 1. Okay. So Pi is equal to, so this was the equation. Ti is equal to Pi Ti plus 1 plus Qi. Okay, this equation. So Pi can be written in this form if you just divide the right hand side by this term. Bi divided by Ai minus Ci Pi minus 1 and Qi is equal to Ci Qi minus 1 plus Di by Ai minus Ci Pi minus 1. Okay. What is the
Sir.
Yes, by comparing these two.
By
Means best, this I will come to the steps again. Okay, but let me describe again because you are asking. Okay, what is the first step? First step is somehow we know that Ti minus 1 is equal to Pi minus 1 Ti plus Qi minus 1. So what do we mean by we know? We mean that we know the value of Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. Okay. So you can ask me how we can know that. So I will answer that later. But at this moment, assume that you know what is the value of Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. Okay. So if you know that those values, then what should be the value of Pi and Qi that we want to know. Okay. So if I know for the previous grid point Ti minus 1 what are the coefficients, I want to know for the ith grid point what should be the coefficient value. Okay. Why I want to know like this? Because if I can get the value of the coefficients for the ith grid point Pi and Qi, okay, based on the previous grid point value, Similarly, I can proceed for the next grid point. So I will be able to find the value of the coefficients for the Ti plus 1 grid points, means Ti plus 1 terms, just by following the same process, just by changing the value of I. Okay, so I can make it like a step by step process. Okay. So remember that we already have this discretized equation. For any grid point I, we have the discretized equation. What do we mean by we have the discretized equation? We know that I mean that we know the value of what is AI, BI, CI and DI. Okay. What does these values depend on? Can anyone say what does this value AI, BI, CI and DI depend on? These are known values, right? So what does it depend on?
Sir, conductivity.
Conductivity for the ith grid point means I and I1 minus 1 or I plus 1 means
Size
interpolated
of the
conductivity, and yes, distances. So means basically the mesh that we have created, or geometrical parameters. So AI, BI and CI depends on conductivity and the geometrical parameters. DI depends on the source term for the grid. Okay, and the geometrical parameters. And also time step may also come into picture for unsteady terms, because that AP0 term is there. But these are all known. My point is that all these coefficients are known. Okay. So if I also know Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1, and then I replace this Ti minus 1 term with this term, this known coefficients. So I get Ci Pi minus 1 Ti plus Qi minus 1. And rearranging the terms, I can write them as in this form. Ti is equal to Pi Ti plus 1 plus Qi. Okay. Look at the coefficients that are present. So coefficient for Ti plus 1 is Bi by AI minus Ci Pi minus 1, right? This is the coefficient. Similarly, the coefficient Qi is the Ci Qi minus 1 plus Di divided by AI minus Ci Pi minus 1. Okay. So this term divided by this term. So this coefficient is given here, same thing. Okay. So what is the reason for writing this form? Can anyone say? What is the reason? If we know the Pi
Sir, we
minus
can
1 and
find
Q, yes, we can find Pi and Qi, right?
the PI
Because all
QI
the
for
AI,
each
BI,
step.
yes, all the AI, BI, Ci and Di are known based on our discretization, and I am saying that Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1 are also known by some calculation. Okay. So if Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1 is known, I can calculate Pi and Qi from this. Okay. So then how Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1 will be known? Based on Pi minus 2 and Qi minus 2 values, right? Like an induction process. So once you get Pi and Qi, what will you do next? In that case, can anyone say? Say I have found the value based on these known values of Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. I have calculated the
I
new
will
Pi
find
and Qi.
PI plus 1, QI plus 1 next.
Yes, so we will write the equation for Pi plus 1 and Qi plus 1. It will become equal to Bi plus 1, Ai plus 1 minus Ci plus 1 Pi, and this will be Ci plus 1 Qi plus Di by Ai plus 1 minus Ci plus 1 Pi. So Pi and Qi will be known. So we will find Pi plus 1 and Qi plus 1.
PI
Actually, in
plus
that
1
way,
can be.
yes. So we will not increase the I plus. What we will do is we will change the value of I basically. So instead of I equal to 3, we'll go to I equal to 4 like this, right? And like a chain reaction, we can find all the I up to n. Okay. So now after this, let us try to understand the algorithm. Okay. So we will start. Let me keep this also open on the other side. This let us keep it open for reference. So what is the algorithm for TDMA? Start from I is equal to 1. Okay. What is the equation for I is equal to 1? Let us look at this discretized equation. AITI plus BITI plus 1 plus CITI minus 1 plus DI. Okay. So for I is equal to 1, I have said that C1 has to be 0, right? Because there is no Ti minus 1 term. So for I is equal to 1, what is the 1 is 0. Okay. Can be written as Ai Ti is equal to Bi Ti plus 1 plus Di. Is it clear to everyone? What will be the equation? For
Yes,
I
sir.
is equal to, okay. So if we compare this to this form, what will be the value of Pi and Qi for I is equal to 1?
Bi by AI will be Pi and
Yes,
Qi will
Pi by
be
Ai
Ti by
and Qi
Ti.
will be Di by Ai. Okay. So for
AI.
I is equal to 1, Pi, so I is equal to 1, I can write Pi as P1. So P1 is B1 by A1 and Q1 is D1 by A1. Okay. So here A1, B1 and D1 all are known, right? Because all are discretized, all are from the coefficients from the discretized equation. So we already know those because we have already calculated the discretized equation based on geometrical parameters, conductivity and source terms, right? So A1, B1 and D1 are known. It means that P1 and Q1 are known. We can calculate P1 and Q1. Okay. So this is what I have written. A1, B1 and D1 are known. So P1 and Q1 are known. So what is the next step? So I equal to 1 we have found. So we will march along with I, along the direction of I. So we will go to I equal to 2. What will be the equation for I equal to 2? We will use these marching steps. Okay, we have obtained this algorithm, right? So for I is equal to 2, P2 will be equal to
B2
B2 by A2 minus C2 P1. And so here B2, A2 and C2 are already known from discretized
and
equation
P1 also
and
known.
P1 was already calculated. Okay. Similarly, Q2 will be C2 Q1 plus D2 by A2 minus C2 P1. Okay. So Q1 and P1 are already calculated from the previous grid point. So we can calculate P2 and Q2. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? Clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we will march forward in I direction. Okay. So for example, for I to equal to 2, I already written. So once, because all the values are known, we can find P2 and Q2. Now because P2 are P2 and Q2 are known, we can find P3 and Q3. So like this, you can just keep on proceeding. So step by step, because you already know the previous values. So you just keep on proceeding following these steps. Okay. So for example, for I is equal to 10, we will already know I is equal to 9 values. So P9 and Q9 will be known, and we can find out what is P10 and Q10. Similarly, for P11 and Q11, already we have calculated P10 and Q10, then we can calculate P11 and Q11. Like this, we keep on marching. Okay, this is known as forward marching or forward elimination. Okay, this is known as forward marching or forward elimination. So this is the first step in TDMA. There are two steps. The first step is known as forward marching or forward elimination, and the second step will be there, which is known as backward substitution. Okay. So for at any intermediate value of I, Pi can be calculated based on Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1. This we have already seen. As Pi minus 1 and Qi minus 1 is already known from previous calculation, Pi and Qi can be directly calculated. This is known as forward marching or forward elimination. So we'll continue up to I equal to n. Okay. So let us go back to our equation. Let us keep this open because this is the. So for I is equal to n, what is the special feature of that equation? I is equal to n for this discretized equation.
Pn equal to
What,
0.
sir?
I am asking, yes, so already answer is there. I was asking what is the special feature of this equation for I is equal to n for the discretized equation. So Bn equal to 0, right? For I is equal to n. Because for I is equal to n, we cannot have any next neighboring point already, because I is equal to n means the last point, so we cannot have another I plus 1 point. Okay, so Bn has to be equal to 0. Bn is for the next grid point, right? So for I is equal to n, Bn equal to 0. It means that there is no Ti plus 1 term. Okay. So if Bn is equal to 0, what is the value of for I is equal to n? Bn is 0. So what is the value of Pn? Pn is 0, right? Because
Yes, sir.
Vn is equal to 0. And then what is the value of Qn? Qn is
Cn.
Cn, Qn minus 1 plus Dn divided by An plus Cn, Pn minus 1. Okay, this one. Pn is 0 and Qn is this value. Okay. So this Qn minus 1 and Pn minus 1 are already known, right, from previous calculation. So Qn we can directly calculate from this equation. Pn is 0, Qn directly we can calculate. So we know at this point we know what is the value of Qn. Okay. So once you know what is the value of Qn, what needs to be done? For I is equal to n, what is the form of the equation? This equation. Ti is equal to pi ti plus 1 plus qi. What will be the value of, so for I, Pn is 0, right? So Tn
Qn only.
is equal to Qn, and Qn we have already calculated from this. So Tn we can calculate, right, from this equation. Is it clear to everyone? Because
Yes, sir.
Qn is already calculated, Tn is equal to Qn. We will just replace the value, okay, from this expression. So now we have found the temperature value for the last grid point, okay. All the other grid points are unknown. Only for the last grid point we have found the value. Now what we are going to do? We are going to go backward direction. We have come to the forward direction of I. Now we will go in the backward direction of I. This is known as backward substitution. And what equation we are going to use? We are going to use this equation for the backward direction. Okay. So if Tn is known, so for Tn minus 1, what will you do? Tn minus 1 is equal to Pn minus 1. So here I have already written Tn minus 1 is equal to Pn minus 1 Tn plus Qn minus 1. So are these values Pn minus 1 and Qn minus 1 known?
Pn also known.
Pn minus 1 and Qn minus 1 are known from all the coefficients are known, right, from our forward marching.
Pn,
And
Pn also
Tn
known.
is, so we can
Qn.
get Tn minus 1. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
similarly, once Tn minus 1 is known, we will calculate for Tn minus 2. What will be the
Pn
equation?
minus 2.
Tn minus 2 will be Pn minus 2 into Tn minus 1 plus Qn minus 2. So because Tn minus 1 will be known, we will get Tn minus 2. So like this you move backward in I. Is it clear to everyone? So this is known as backward direction. Okay. You move backward in the I direction. So once you get n minus 1, then you go to n minus 2 equation. So here you will have the n minus 1 term which will be known, and the coefficients are known. So you will get Tn minus 2. Then you will get Tn minus 3. Like this you proceed so that ultimately you get up to T1. Okay. So our TDMA involves forward elimination and backward substitution. Forward elimination term and backward substitution. And the number of calculations is of the order of n. Means it is not equal to n. Of the order means, say, when you are proceeding, we have n equations, and for each equation, say 3 or 4 calculations are there. For example, we need to, we can also see how many number of calculations are there. So one multiplication is there, then one subtraction and one division. So 3 calculations, and here 1 multiplication, 2 multiplication. So then 2 additional subtraction, 2 to 4, 1 division, 5 and 3, 8 calculations for each I value. Okay. So some function of n. So when you go from I is equal to 1 to n, you are having 8n number of calculations. Similarly, for backward substitution also you have 1 multiplication and 1 addition. So 2 more calculations. So 10n number of calculations. Okay. So the number of calculations is function of number of operations that are required is of the order of n. It means that if I increase the number n by 2 times, we will have, instead of 10n number of calculation, we will have 20n number of calculation. It will increase linearly with n. Okay. Number of equations will increase linearly with n instead of increasing cubically, which is the case for Gaussian elimination, which is the standard method of say solving this type of equations. Okay. So you can read about Gaussian elimination anywhere, like Wikipedia also it is there. Any book also you can just standard, it is available. Okay. So this TDMA is very useful for 1D type of problem. Why cannot it be used for 2D or 3D? For 2D and 3D, so what do we mean by tridiagonal? Yes. So this tridiagonal matrix algorithm means we have a matrix which has this type of structure, right? So you have a matrix which has this type of structure, means the coefficient matrix has this type of structure. Okay, so value say minus C1, A1, B minus B1, 0, 0, 0, 0. All values are 0. And 0 minus C1, C2, C2 minus B2. Like this. So the diagonals are present, 3 diagonals are present, and all the other values are 0. It's a very sparse matrix. Okay, only the 3 diagonals are present and all the other variables are 0. Because of this nature of the matrix, this is our matrix. Because of this nature, we were able to use this forward elimination and backward substitution method. It can be designed for more complex problem also, but it becomes very cumbersome. Okay. So because it's a very sparse matrix, that is why only this the solution time also is very efficient, and we are utilizing the nature of the matrix, that it is a very sparse matrix, to do this forward marching in I direction and then backward substitution. And in 2D and 3D, you cannot march along I direction because the neighboring values will not be known. Okay. So for the example, if you see the 2D or 3D equation, in the 2D or 3D equation, we will have two more coefficients. It will become pentadiagonal matrix, right? 5 diagonals are present, and this north and south values will not be, means the temperature values on the north and south direction will not be known if you just march along the I direction. The J direction values also need to be calculated. So you cannot use the tridiagonal matrix algorithm. So in that case, some other normal method needs to be used for direct solving, like Gaussian elimination. So Gaussian elimination is the normal method. So even if you have a very dense matrix, like all the values are present, means all the other values are also present here. Okay, then also it can be solved, and it will take n cube number of times, calculations of the order of n cube number of iterations. Okay, so it is a generalized method, but because of the special nature of our 1D calculation, we can use the TDMA method, which is considerably faster as compared to other direct methods for matrix inversion. Okay, now if you use matrix inversion in MATLAB, you may see that it is very fast because MATLAB has internally optimized the matrix inversion. But if you want to do on your own matrix inversion algorithm, it will not be very fast. Okay. So this is a direct method because you can directly solve all the equations. So you may think that this is iterative, means you are going from iteration I is equal to 1 to n. But it is actually not iterative. Iteration means that you are using the previous iteration value for the same variable to get the next iteration value. Here, for getting the same variable value, you are just using the previous grid point value. Okay, you are not using the previous iteration value for that variable. So directly you are getting the value of that variable based on the calculation. So actually iteration is not required. In one pass, you can find out or solve all the equations. Okay, so this is very useful for 1D problems. Can directly solve all the discretized equation. Iteration is not required, and considerably faster as compared to other direct methods. For example, number of operations which is required is of the order of n instead of the order of n cube for Gaussian elimination. So let us take a break here. Any question regarding this TDMA? Will you be able to implement these
Yes,
steps? Because that is very important. Many of these solution algorithms use TDMA because of its efficiency. Okay. In MATLAB, it does not matter because you can directly make that what I was saying, right? You can directly form these coefficients and say that T is equal to A inverse D, and MATLAB will give you the solution. But internally, MATLAB is doing that. But when you write a general code, you have to use something like TDMA or Gaussian elimination or some other method. Okay, there are a lot of methods. So let us take a break here, and we will continue into iterative methods. Okay, and we'll start the iterative methods today and continue into the next class. We'll take a few minutes break here. Think about any questions if you have. So I am back. Are you guys still there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just quickly let me check my email. Okay. What? So any questions on this TDMA? It is very easy to understand. It is there also in the Patankar book. Okay, you can read. Not much in details. Similar details is there, and you can try to understand that. Into the iterative methods, indirect methods. Okay, direct method we have studied only one case. The iterative methods. We'll start today and we will continue the discussion in the next class. What is the reason for this iterative methods? Direct methods also we can use for 2D and 3D. Okay. So what will be the TDMA we cannot use, but other direct methods like Gaussian elimination we can use for 2D and 3D. What will be the number of equations? Say if I have a domain like this. Okay, if I have a domain like this, if it is a 1D domain, if it is a 1D domain and I divide it into 10 control volumes and 10 grid points. Okay. So for Gaussian elimination, so we have a matrix which is say A into T is equal to D. This type of matrix is there. This one, where this A is 10 by 10 matrix. T is a vector of length 10 and D is a vector of length 10. Okay. So because it is a 10 by 10 matrix, this time of calculation will be proportional to 10 cube. Okay. So same problem, if it becomes a 3D problem, so you are solving the same conduction problem in a 3D case. Okay. With the same grid resolution. It is not that you are increasing the grid resolution. Same grid resolution. So you are dividing the domain into 10 grid points along the x direction, along the y and along the z. Okay, so the grid structure looks like this somewhat. Okay, I'm drawing very roughly, but you get the idea. So 10 grid points along each direction and 10 control volume along each direction. So in total 1000 control volumes and 1000 grid points. Okay. So again we can write this all the equations. So we'll have now how many equations? 1000 equations and 1000 unknowns, right? 1000 equations and 1000 unknowns. So we can write this as let me not write like this. Just write this as AT is equal to D, where T is equal to A inverse of D. Okay. Means if you want to know the steps, this is directly you cannot make it inverse. So A inverse A T is equal to A inverse D, and this A inverse A is the identity matrix. Okay. So it leads to this value. T is equal to A inverse D. So now this coefficient, this A coefficient matrix A is a matrix of the size of 1000 by 1000. Okay, and these are of the size of 100. Sorry, 1000, and this is also of the size of 1000. So because we have 1000 equations and 1000 unknowns, our simulation time now scales as 1000 to the power 3. Okay, instead of 10 to the power 3. So sounds into says some value into some constant. So this will be the simulation time that is required. Previously it was proportional to 10 into some constant. Okay. So you can see that for 3D problems, how problematic it is to use normal direct methods. Okay, Gaussian elimination, because of even for the same grid resolution, where the grid we are not refining the grid resolution is same, but because the number of equations has increased by 100 times, so previously it was 10 and now it is 1000, our calculation time has gone from of the order of 1000 to of the order of 10 to the power 9. Okay, 1 billion. So for the 1D problem, it is taking 1 second to solve for the 1D problem. For the 3D problem, or say 1 second, not 1 second, say 1000 seconds to solve for the 1D problem. For the 3D problem, it will take 10 to the power 9 seconds to solve. So it becomes very, and this is only for one time step. Okay, one time step. Then you have to do the same calculation for the next time step and so on. Okay, this is for one time step. You are just calculating for all the grid points. So one, like in ANSYS terminology or in CFD terminology, it is less like along the time marching for one iteration, you are just getting the value for one time step. So if you are solving for 100 time steps or 1000 time steps, you can imagine how much time it will take. Okay, so it, although these are actually very large number, actual calculation time may be 0.1 second and something like that, but it increases drastically. Okay, so direct methods are not suitable. Okay, direct methods such as TDMA cannot be used for 2D and 3D without modification resulting iterative process. Okay, we will see what is the modification, which is known as line by line TDMA. And what is the equation? This is the form of the equation. Okay, and other direct methods are very slow. Okay, so they cannot be used for 2D or 3D problems. They can be used, but it depends on number of grid points. So we will go through some iterative methods. Iterative methods means you are using the previous iteration value. So you start with some guess value. Okay, you already assume that you know all the values. So you already know all the values for all the grid points. Okay. Either it is based on the say initial condition, or just you are assuming some value like t is equal to 300 everywhere, or some value t equal to 0, whatever. So depending on the guess, the convergence time will take some time, but will take different time. But you start with some value already, and then repeatedly keep on calculating based on the previous iteration to value to find the new iteration value. Okay, and keep on doing it until you see that there is no change with further iterations. So always there will be some small change. Okay, so you have to stop at a point where you feel that the solution is sufficiently accurate. So you may say that my convergence criteria is 10 to the power minus 6. What do I mean by this statement? Convergence criteria is 10 to the power minus 6. It means that I am happy if the error is less than 10 to the power minus 6. If the error is more than 10 to the power minus 6, I will say that I will continue iteration. If it is less than 10 to the power minus 6, I will stop the iteration. Okay. Somebody else may say that I don't want that type of accuracy. I only want 10 to the power minus 3 level of accuracy. So my convergence criteria is 10 to the power minus 3. Okay, so in that case, the convergence criteria is 10 to the power minus 3. So if the error is, so error you do not know, but what you know is what is the change from the previous iteration to the current iteration. Why do you do not know the exact error? Because you do not know the exact solution, right? So only thing you know is, yes? Question? Somebody is asking something? No. So what we know is what was the value in the previous iteration and what is the value in the new iteration. And so what is the difference in value? So if this difference is less than our criteria, we say that the solution is converged, means this is the correct solution for us. We do not want to continue further. Okay, so let us take a look at an example. Okay, I have to check these values, but let us try to calculate. Okay, let me open calculator. And then I will write the we can write the algorithm. So there are two equations only. Okay, after discretization, you have found two equations. One is of the form 2x plus 1, 2x1 plus x2 equal to 6. Second equation is of the form x1 plus 3x2 equal to 13. Okay, so for large number of grid points, like n number of grid points, you will have n equations, but all the coefficients will not have values. Some of the coefficients will be 0, right? Many of the coefficients will be 0. But this is just a standard set of linear equation, two linear algebraic equations. So I can write these equations in terms of the unknown variables. Okay. So for example, the first equation, either of the equations. So I could have written the second equation also. But say for the first equation, we write x1 is equal to 6 minus x2 by 2. Okay, this is the same equation but in a different form. I could have also written x2 is equal to 6 minus 2x1. That is also possible. Okay, any of the forms. So this is one form of the equation. Similarly, from the second equation, we can write x2 is equal to 13 minus x1 divided by 3. Okay, again, this I could have written for x1 that 13 minus 3x2, but we are using these forms of the equation. Okay. So in that case, what will be the iteration steps? So if the k minus 1 iteration value is known by previous calculation, k is the iteration number, okay, iteration number, not the grid point number. It is very important to know. Okay, it is not equal to the I that we were saying previously. Not the same as I. This is the iteration number. Okay, grid point numbers are 1 and 2. So if k minus 1 value is known for x2, okay, I will use the previous iteration value to find the new iteration value for x1. Okay, so because k minus 1 is already known by some calculation, I can find out k value of x1. Similarly, for k value of x2, I can use the previous iteration value of x1 to find the current iteration value of x2. Once you calculate these two, you will go to the next iteration step, where again x1k and x2k are known. So because x2k is known, you will replace it here and you will find x1k plus 1. Similarly, because x1k is known already, you will replace it here and you will find x2k plus 1. And you just proceed along like this and always compare the result x1k with x1k minus 1. What is the difference? You can check the absolute difference or relative difference. Means either you can check x1k minus x1k minus 1 or you can check x1k minus x1k minus 1 divided by x1k. Okay, and then check whether it is less than certain value like 10 to the power 3 or 10 to the power 10 to the power minus 3 or minus 6, and if it is less than that, you say that okay, stop the calculation, we are happy. But you have to converge to both, means both the variable values has to go below that value. Okay, so that is known as convergence criteria. In ANSYS or in other software also you give convergence criteria 10 to the power minus 3. It is there. If you don't give also, automatically it is taking some value 0.001 or something like that. For each variable it is there, say for temperature, for u velocity, for v velocity, like this. So let us try this once, okay, by hand. Actually, you will run a loop in computer to go from k is equal to 1 to, means continuing from k equal to 1, you will go on so long as the convergence criteria is not satisfied. Once the convergence criteria is satisfied, you will stop at that point. Okay, so unlimited number of iterations you do. In practice, we do not do unlimited number of iterations. I will come to that point. Okay, but so these are the equations. This is my iterative method. So let us start with some value. Okay, you can start with any guess value. I can start with x equal to 1 or x equal to 1000, x1 equal to 1000, x2 equal to 1000, or x1 equal to, we don't have any idea, right? Whether it is 1000, it is 1, or it is minus 1000, or no idea is there to us, because here there is no initial condition also known. So let us start with x1 equal to 0, x2 equal to 0. This is a very common guess, means when nothing is known. Okay, but obviously by taking a look at the equation, you can say that more chances are there that the order of the values should be around 1 digit or maximum 2 digits, because these coefficients are not very large. It will be very odd if x1 is of the order of 10,000 and x2 is of the order of 10,000, and still we get very small values. That can happen. That can happen. But then this x1 and x2 means it's a very strange situation. Means these x1 and x2 are very skewed, so that even with very big values of x1 and x2, you are getting very small values here. Okay. But in general, the case will be that x1 and x2 should not be very large. Okay, some value which is not very large. So first guess is x1 equal to 0, x2 equal to 0. Okay. So what is the iterative procedure? So k minus 1 is 0. For k equal to 1, first iteration, what will be x1? 6 minus x2 k minus 1. So x2 k minus 1 is 0. So 6 minus 0 by 2. Okay, 6 minus 0 by 2, which is equal to 3. So the first value of k x1 is 3. Similarly, for x2, first iteration, the 0th iteration value of x1 is 0. So 13 minus 0 by 3. Okay, 13 minus 0 by 3 is 13 by 3, which is 4.333. Okay. This is after one iteration. So second iteration, again, now x2 k minus 1 is known. So for k equal to 2, k equal to 1 value is known. K equal to 1 value is 4.333. Okay, so if you do the like this, 6 minus 4.333, okay, divided by 2. So 0.834. Okay, I am rounding off to the third digit, but in actual case, you might continue to up to 8 digits or something, because otherwise there will be a lot of errors. Means when you are writing a computer program, if you are using real precision, then you will go to 8 digits. If you are using double precision, you will go to 16 digits. Okay, otherwise there is huge round of error, because round of errors accumulate with time. Okay, so this will cause very large round of error if you just consider only 4 digits. But in our case, I am considering only 3 digits, 0.824. Similarly, for this one, 13 minus x1 of first iteration. First iteration was 3. So 13 minus 3 is 10. 10 by 3 is 3.333. Okay. So this is after second iteration. So after this, we have to check what is the change. Okay. So we see that the change is huge. It is from 3 minus 0.834. Relative change, if we check, 3 minus 0.834 divided by 0.834. Similarly, in this case also, we can check the change. It seems that the change has occurred, which quite a large value of change has occurred compared to the previous value, means similar to the value. So we will not stop here. We will go to the next iteration. Next iteration, x1 will use the previous iteration value of x2, which is 3.333. Okay. So 6 minus 3.333 divided by 2. So 1.334. Okay, again rounding off 1.334. Similarly, this one you use previous iteration value of x1. So 13 minus 0.834 divided by 3. So 4.055. It should be 055. Okay, I've written 056, but it should be 4.055. So like this, you go on proceeding. Okay, step by. Yeah, I hope you have understood the process. So I'm not calculating any further, but you keep on proceeding. So for finding this value, you need this value, and finding this value, you need this value. And every time you check with the previous iteration, what is the change? So from here to here, it is around 0.5, and this is around 0.7. So from here to here, it is less than 0.2. You see that the change is occurring very less and less. Okay. So from here to here, the change is only 0.01, and for this one, it is only 0.004. Okay. So I have stopped here, assuming that we are satisfied with these values. If you are not satisfied, you can keep on continuing until you reach a very fine, means if you use 6 digits or 8 digits, you can go towards more number of iterations. Okay. So what is the actual value of x1 and x2 in these cases? Means correct value
1 and 3.997.
That is not the actual value, that is the calculated value. What is the actual? Means direct solution will give what? This is the our iterative method value, right? But what is the correct value? Correct value is also there, right? Means if I solve the equation directly, I will get the correct value.
So 1 and 4.
1 and 4 are the correct values, right? If x1 is 1 and x2 is 4, so 2 plus 4 is 6 and 1 plus 12 is 13. So correct values are 1 and 4. Okay. So we have reached somewhere near that value. Okay. It can again deviate slightly. Based on the previous calculation, it can deviate slightly. but it will remain within a very small tolerance limit. Ultimately, it has converged to very near to 1 and 4. If you start with different guess values, then obviously the calculation, so here we needed 8 iterations to reach this type of precision. If you start say with 1 and 1, oh, again we have to only type. If I start with 1 and 1, in that case, we can let us try a few iterations, okay, with 1 and 1. So x1 0 is equal to 1 and x2 0 is equal to 1. Okay. In this case, after the first iteration, you have equation 6 minus 1. 6 minus 1 divided by 2. 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 by 2 is 2.5. Actually, we have started from the correct solution, but we have moved to the wrong side. Okay, 2.5. x1 equal to 1 was correct only, initial guess. But because we are iterating based on the x2 value, we have gone to the other side. If x2 is equal to 1, while calculating x2, 13 minus 1 by 3. Okay, so this is 4. So similarly, the next iteration value will be 6 minus 4 by 2. Because this new value is 4, 6 minus 4 by 2 is 1 only. Okay. And this one, x2 value will be 13 minus 2.5 by 3. Minus 2.5 divided by 3. Okay, 3.5. Most probably in this case convergence will be faster. We have to check, but we are already quite near to the values. Okay. So third iteration will be, again we will deviate from the actual value. So 6 minus 3.5 by 2. 6 minus 3.5 divided by 2, which is equal to 1.25. And this is again this will be 4. Okay. So, but this value is gradually decreasing. So you will be coming near and near correct value. And ultimately you will get converged values. So because now it has become 1.25. Previously it was divert, means it was going to a more wrong value. Now it will be more correct value. So 13 minus 1.25. 13 minus 1.25 divided by 4 will be more accurate value. 2 point, what I have done, divided by 3.
3, sir, divided by 3.
Yeah, 13 minus 1.25 divided by 3 is, should be 3.917. Okay, so x2 is 3.917 and x1 we will obtain the correct value because it is 4. Okay, so very quickly we are converging this time as compared to previous case. Not very quickly, but quicker than this. Okay, quicker than this. Not very quickly, but slightly quicker than this. There it was 3.889. Here already it is 3.9, and again it will deviate from 1, but the deviation will be very small again. Okay, let us do one more last iteration. So it is 6 minus 3.917 divided by 2. 1.042. 1.042. And you can see this will become again equal to 4. Okay, because this was 1. Why this is happening? Alternate correct solution, because already one guess value was correct by luck. That is why. But the convergence rate is faster. Okay, we have already reached here 1.042. Next one will be very close, and you will get to a close solution. Okay. So anyway, any of the guess values can be taken. The convergence rate depends on the guess value. Okay. Typically for physical problems, you have some idea about the gas value. For example, if it is a temperature solution, you can take either the initial condition if it is a transient problem, or you can take if it is a transient problem, the previous time step values will be known. So that can be taken as the starting value for this iteration. Within the time step, you will have many number of iterations. So previous time step value will be known. That can be started as a taken as a guess value. For the first time step, you can take the initial condition, or you can take if it is a steady state problem, we can take some value like 300 Kelvin everywhere. Or we can guess the value if the boundary condition is known, temperature. We can take one of the boundary temperature as the guess value for all the points. So in general, we can write this algorithm. This is known as Jacobi method. If n equations and n unknowns are present, our equation is of the form like this, right? A dot x equal to b, where a is the coefficient matrix n by n, x is a vector of n, and b is a vector of length n. Okay, where each of the equations, so this can be written in IJ form as summation of j. Let me see whether I have somewhere. Let us open this. Although it looks very small, but it will help us in understanding. Aij xj is equal to bi. Okay, so j is the along this row and I is along the column. Okay, I varies along the column. So I is the number of row. Varies along the column is number of row, and j is the number of column. Okay, so aij xj. So for example, if I is equal to 1 and j is varying from 1 to n. So for I is equal to 1, I can write j is equal to 1 to n, a1j xj is equal to b1. So what is a1j xj summation of that? So a1, this variable, into this plus a2 into this means a1. So this will be a11 into t1, a12 into t2, a13 into t3, a14 into t4, like this in general if these values are not 0, a15 up to the end, a1n into tn. Okay, so this line multiplied by means each corresponding variable in this line multiplied by the corresponding variable in this line is equal to this value. Okay, so this into this plus this into this plus this into this third value, like this up to a1n tn is equal to d1. Okay, so equal to bi, this value first value. Similarly for the second, where b equal, so for I equal to 2, you can write the second row multiplied by the again the same vector will give you the second value of this. So a21 into t1 plus a22 into t2 plus a23 into t3, a24 into t4 up to a2n into tn is equal to d2. So in general, j is equal to 1 to n, aij xj is equal to bi for I is equal to 1 to n. That I have missed here. I should write for I is equal to 1 to n. Okay, for all I equal to 1 to n. So that actually represents this equation in IJ form. So our algorithm is that, let us look, I will just, let me just keep it open here also. So that 14, okay, so that you have the idea. Although it looks very small. So that you can relate to this, okay. So for any I value, okay. So what are the unknowns? Means unknown is I is equal to 1 to n. So all the x values from I is equal to 1 to n, okay. No, sorry, all values Yes, so for I is equal to 1 to n or j is equal to 1 to n, because both are varying from 1 to n. Okay. So a11 xi k. Okay. So where j is equal to I, so the coefficient. So in this one coefficient will be where j will become equal to I. Okay. So in that case, if j is equal to I can write that as aii xi. Okay. So if we want to calculate that variable value xi, okay, for the kth iteration, aii xi k is equal to bi minus. So let us take a look at this. So for this variable, this is actually equal to this bi minus all the other variables and coefficient. Okay. So here all the other variables was x2 only. So in this case, all the other variables is summation of ji is equal to 1 to n. So this entire summation for ji equal to 1 to n aij xj for the previous iteration except one term, j is not equal to I. Okay. I will again repeat this if it is confusing. Okay. This summation has n number of terms. Okay. This summation has n number of terms like this, this into this plus this into this. So this into this, then this into this plus this into this. Okay. So except one of the term where j is equal to I. So say this is the ith row. Okay. So for that case, and this is the ith row value, some value. So for except that value, all the other values I can take to the right hand side. Okay. So it will become bi minus this entire summation ji is equal to 1 to n aij xj k to the power k minus 1, not to the power k minus 1 is the previous iteration value. Okay. Only one term is missing. Which term is missing? The j equal to I term is missing. So j is not equal to I, except that all the other terms are there, whatever is there in the summation. Whereas this j equal to I term gone, this is already kept in the left hand side. Okay, we have separated this out. From the summation, I have kept it out. So j equal to I term I can write as aii, because j is equal to I, aii xi k. Okay. So the kth iteration value I can find based on all the other variable k minus 1 iteration value. Okay. For all the other variable k minus 1 iteration value, I can find the kth iteration value. Same thing I can just keep on doing for all I from 1 to n. So after doing this operation from I equal to 1 to n, I will have the kth iteration value for all I from 1 to n. Then I will proceed to the next iteration, where for the k plus iteration, again I will have to do the calculation for all I equal to 1 to n. Okay, like this we will keep on proceeding. So this is the general form of the solution. Any questions? This is for Jacobi method. So let us take a look at another method today, and then we will continue that discussion in the next class for the second method, because there is some nuances in the second method, because it is not always stable. We have to also tackle that. The second method is an improvement on the first method, which is known as the Jacobi method. So the second method is known as Gauss-Seidel method. Gauss-Seidel method, where what we do is again let us start from the same equations. Okay, the same equations are there. 2x plus 1, sorry, 2x1 plus x2 equal to 6, and x1 plus 3x2 equal to 13. Okay, same equations. But in this case, instead of calculating all the equations based on the previous iteration value, we take the for any iteration I, sorry, for any variable I, because all the calculation up to I minus 1 has already been done, we all take the current iteration value for those cases. And only for the cases where the calculation has not been done, we take the previous iteration value. So it is a mixture of current iteration value and previous iteration value, unlike the previous case. Let us take a look at an example and it will clarify to you more. Okay. So again, same equation I can write in this form: x1 is equal to 6 minus x2 by 2, and x2 is equal to 13 minus x1 by 3. Okay. So because x2 and x1 both are unknown, means both for the new iteration both are unknown for the kth iteration. For calculating x1, I will use the previous iteration value of x2. So 6 minus x2 k minus 1 iteration value divided by 2. But after this calculation, what is happening? Already the x1 kth iteration value is known. So why am I going to use the means previous iteration value? I can just use the current iteration value because the current iteration value itself we have calculated. So like that we are going to do x2k is equal to 13 minus x1k divided by 3. Okay. So for the next calculation again, what will be the value? So this will become k plus 1 and this will be k. Okay. So because k value we have obtained, but because we have already obtained k plus 1, this will become k plus 1 while calculating the k plus 1 value for x2. Okay. So all the variable values up to this point, up to the point that we are considering unknown. So we will be using the updated values instead of using all the old iteration value. Okay. So if you proceed like this, the convergence is faster. So same thing if you do again, start with the guess value 0 and 0. After first iteration, 6 minus 0 by 2, it is 3. But now instead of taking this value 0, actually only one guess value is required in this case. This one is not required at all because we already have calculated that this is equal to 3, right? As we have already calculated this new updated value, we will just use 13 minus 3 divided by 3. Okay, 3.333. So this value is 3.333. Now again you calculate based on this value, this one, 6 minus 3.333 by 2, you will get 1.334. Now instead of using this old iteration value 3, you will use 0.334. Instead of using the old value 3, current iteration value we will use. So 13 minus 1.334 divided by 3. So which gives us 3.889. Okay. So like this we will proceed. And because of this, because we are using the updated information, you will see that the convergence is much faster. So within 5 iterations, I have reached a value of 1.002 and 3.999, much closer to the actual solution. But if you compare this to the 5 iteration value for Jacobi method, it was 1.056 and 4.009. Okay, so this is much closer value. So convergence is faster in this case. There are some drawbacks we will study in the next class. It does not always converge. Okay, you have to take the actually equations very judiciously. Okay, I don't have an example today, but we can try one case. Okay, just to illustrate, because still sufficient time is there. Let us try one case. In the next class, I will show you properly, because here I have to just check the on the go. I have to check the whether I can get a diverse value of or not. Okay, so if you form the equations, say if I form the equations in another way, say I am using the second equation for calculating x. Okay, so if I use the equation for calculating x, I have x1 is equal to x1k is equal to 13 minus 3x2 k minus 1. Okay, x1k is equal to 13 minus 3x2 k minus 1, and x2k is equal to 6 minus 2x1k. Already x1k is known. 6 minus 2 into x1k, already k. So if I do this, let us calculate what happens. Starting from again 0 0. Okay, guess value 0 0. After one iteration, what will be the value? Starting value is 0 0. Okay, so after one iteration, 13 minus 3 into 0. So 13. X1 is 13 after one iteration. Okay, because x1 is 13, this is 6 minus 2 into 13. 2 into 13 is
-20.
26, minus 20. Okay, We are already seeing something is going wrong. Okay. Next value. So it is minus 20. Minus 3 into minus 20 is 60. 60 plus 13, this is 73. And this is minus 2 into 73, so minus 146. Minus 146 plus 6, so minus 140. And it will keep on increasing drastically, okay, after that. Actually, the solution has diverged in this case. It has not converged. It will not converge anymore. It will quickly reach to very high value, means million and billion and infinite value very quickly, okay. So this is actually solution is diverging. Solution may not always converge in this method, okay. So that is a drawback. We will study this in the next class when it converges and when it does not converge. But just like shelf, I just wanted to discuss that. Although iteration is faster, it does not mean that everything is good with this method, okay. So you have to judiciously select this method. So if I want to formally define this method, what we will do? In this case, again the set of equations is similar, a dot x equal to b, or I can write the equations as j is equal to 1 to n, aij xj is equal to bi. Same thing like what we have done. But now we will divide this into two parts. All the values of j before I. Okay, so if I is equal to 10, all the values of j up to I, before I. So j equal to 1, j equal to 2, j equal to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 9. Okay, this is one part. And the second part is all the j values after I. Okay, so if I is equal to 10, starting from 11, so 11, 12, 13, 14. So if n is say 20 and I is 9 or I is 10, so j is equal to 1 to 9, aij xj, and another part will be j is equal to 11 to 20, aij xj. Okay, and that j equal to I part means where j is equal to that part we will keep on the left hand side, similar to this. Okay, so what we will have is aii xik, aii xik. Okay, I have not written the aii, I have already jumped one step here. But you will have aii xik is equal to j equal to 1 to I minus 1. Okay, all the values before I. Okay, so starting from 1 to I minus 1, all the values. This term, okay, minus aij xj. Instead of k minus 1, because we up to I, all the values we already know the current value, right? So we will use xjk because k values are already known. Okay, so basically this term minus summation of j is equal to 1 to I minus 1 aij xjk. Okay, and then I am dividing by this aii, so this aii comes down here. Okay, this is one term, and the second term is all the values of j which is greater than I. So j is equal to I plus 1 to n minus aij divided by aii, which comes from this side, xjk minus 1. This case xjk minus 1 I have to use because we have not yet calculated these values. If I have 20 equations, for first 9 equations I have calculated the current iteration value. Now I am calculating for the 10th variable, means I equal to 10, and from 11 to 20 I have to use the old values. So for the 11th, when I will become equal to 11, I will have all the 10 values, previous 10 values known, and from 12 to 20 I will have to use old values. Like this you keep on proceeding. For the 19th value I will have 1 to 18 here, and only the 20th value will be here. Okay, plus this term is there, bi by aii. So this is this will continue for I is equal to 1 to n. So after this, one iteration will be complete and you will go to the second iteration. Okay, so we'll stop here today and continue this discussion about Gauss-Seidel method in the next class, and also show you what are the like why that convergence and divergence are occurring, in which case it will occur, which case it will not occur. There is a criteria which is known as Scarborough criteria. We will study about that, and then we will go to line by line TDMA and we will finish this part. We'll look at some other small things. We'll finish this part, and from the next week onwards we will go into convection diffusion problems. Questions? Just take a look at this material which is uploaded already. You can try your own cases also. Start with 3 equations or something. Try to just solve one set of equation. compare with the direct solution from MATLAB, or just for practice you can do something like that. Okay, I will call the roll call. Today's date is 10th. So Sai Dikshit, P. Sai Dikshit, consistently absent. Already is lagging from second year, still missing. Shubham, Shubham Deshpande. Then Nikhilesh.
Present, sir.
Nikhilesh is present. Karthik present. Suraj present. Paritosh present. Aniket is present. Then Alapan is present. Yes, present. Thank you. Yash, where is Yash? Yash is generally present. Yash is there, but it's not responding. Okay, Yash is present. Then Vishnu is present. Mainak is present. Then Prabhat Kumar Mishra. Prabhat is absent. Shivangsh present. Alapati Kishan Sai present. Dhruv is not there. Then Venkata Rajendra is present. Atul, just a second. So Atul is present. Ramcharan is present. Suman is present. Then Ashwini Kumar is present. Then Gaurav Srivastav is present. Then Gulshan Kumar. Gulshan Kumar, where are you? Gulshan Kumar, your name is showing, so you are present.
Yes, sir,
Pujari
present,
is
sir.
present. Yes, Pujari is present. Nilesh Kumar is present. Chintu Sai is present. Sudipto Das, where is Sudipto Das? Present.
Yes, sir.
Then yes, present. Thank you. Lokesh is present. Somesh Harichandan. Somesh is present. Ankit also has left. So Ankit is not there. P. Sai Dikshit. Shubham. Prabhat Kumar Mishra. Okay, they are absent. We'll meet on Friday. I will show your. I will give your marks on Friday. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
have to upload the videos. I could not do it during the weekend. It takes a lot of time. For poor internet connection, it not possible because of these HD videos take a lot of time. But I will do it in 1 or 2 days. All the videos I will upload once the internet connection is good. So do it in YouTube. Okay. Thank you.